All right, you are listening to Rocket Shop Radio Hour here at Big Heavy World. I'm your host, Abby BK, and with me today is my wonderful co-host.
I'm Keegan Lafferty.
And here in the studio, we have Fern Maddie. How are you doing, Fern Maddie?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so we had last seen you, at least I had, at the Venetian Soda Lounge back like a couple months ago. So how have you been since then?
Good, yeah. I've been playing a few gigs, nothing too serious, but working on producing some demos for some new recordings. So, yeah.
Very exciting. Well, we usually like to kick things off with a song, so what have you got to begin?
Yeah, this is an unreleased song, one of those demos in progress, and it's called Red Sun.
Red Sun by Fern, Maddie. Thanks so much. That was
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thanks.
Any questions over here from Keegan? I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, so I'm wondering kind of about your musical history, when you started playing music and songwriting and singing, and kind of where that development, how that took place.
Yeah, so I was raised in a very creative family. My dad was a composer, a pianist, a songwriter. He and my mom actually wrote musicals together that I performed in when I was a child. So singing and piano and guitar, all these things started when I was pretty young. But I didn't really discover traditional music, which I was, for those who can't see, I was just playing the banjo. Yeah, I didn't really kind of fall in love with trad as a musical culture until I was a teenager. And I actually started with the fiddle and kind of tried to learn Irish fiddle, which was very challenging. I love Irish fiddle music. I'm not a fiddler. I haven't really kind of developed that skill as well as I could have, but I picked up the banjo and found sort of Appalachian old time traditional folk. And yeah, then that kind of circled back around. So I, played guitar when I was a kid. Then I sort of rediscovered my love of music with the banjo, and then that's when I sort of found my songwriter voice, and then brought that back to the guitar. So now I play the banjo, the guitar. I play a few other instruments, but yeah, that's when I started writing songs. Was coming from that traditional balladry sort of genre, and riffing off of that, and then finding my own voice in response to it.
Have you had specific folk artists that kind of inspired you once you were kind of getting into that genre? Because it's really interesting that you didn't really start out in folk.
Yeah, I mean, definitely from, kind of the folk revival of the 50s and 60s. There's Shirley Collins and Dave Van Ronk. Those are two who've been really influential for me. And then also just kind of folk artists that are working today in the field. I'm really inspired by a lot of artists who make music out of England and Ireland. So yeah, there's a lot of influences, yeah.
Awesome. And you had toured around. I remember having a conversation with you the last time that I saw you play, and you toured all around Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
Just the UK.
The UK.
Yeah, it would be great
I was
to go
close.
to Europe. No, yeah. So I was in England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, which is still part of the UK. And yeah, that was kind of a dream come true, because that's sort of a lot of the kind of source material that really inspires me is the sort of English, Irish, Scottish folk ballad tradition. And my music found an audience there, and I got some good press there, so I was able to go on tour there. So that was a really full circle moment for me, yeah.
Totally. And in terms of where you're kind of headed now, I know you were saying that you've been gigging around. What have your performances looked like as of late? Where are you playing, and how's that been?
Yeah, mostly New England stuff, kind of one-off stuff. I am kind of woefully bad at booking. It's not my strongest skill as a musician. So, I had the privilege of working with a booking agent when I was in the UK, which helped that process a lot. So here I played at the Radio Bean recently. I also played a gig down in Northampton at the Parlor Room. That was a really lovely show, a small venue. Yeah, those are kind of the last couple gigs I've had. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm interested in more about the lyricism side of your songwriting and kind of where you find inspiration for lyrics.
Yeah. So I really, my writing can often be kind of repetitive. Part of the reason why I mentioned sort of writing songs in response to traditional balladry is that there's a very kind of structure to traditional ballads. They have verses that are often kind of repeating motifs, or telling a story in a very sort of specific way. You'll hear the same sort of little actual lyrical motifs reused over and over again. So for me, when I write music, I find I'm very much in that same structure. It's actually it's sort of hard for me. I see people who write just like such amazing like free form lyrics over like really, you know, complex chords, and I'm like, my brain doesn't work that way. I need like a lot of structure to find the rhythm, and usually it comes from the music. So I'll start with a chord progression or a riff that I just like play over and over again until like I'm sort of in some sort of kind of trancey space, and that's usually when lyrics start to come to me. So it's usually music first, lyrics, and then I'll sort of sit down with the lyrics and finesse them on their own terms, like I'm writing a poem, and then bring that back to the music and try to make it all work together. Yeah.
Totally. In terms of Red Sun, were there any specific inspirations with that? Because in my brain, that's like quite a visual, you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like sometimes I definitely just kind of, some songs are like, you know, oh yeah, I was working on that song for like 6 months, and you know, I kept coming back around to it. I have one that I'm, you know, right now I'm like, I know the song's in there, I'm still carving away at it. And then some songs are just like, I don't know, I was just like playing the banjo that weekend and there was a song. And Red Sun was definitely one of those, and it was, I actually wrote it the week I released my album, so it's obviously not on the album, but it was kind of like, it sort of came out of, I think, that feeling I was in of like, this is scary and I'm not sure how it's going to be received. And that song isn't about art. It's sort of, it's more about, the way I think of that song is it's a very like future focused song. I'm like kind of thinking of the future of the world and like what that looks like, and my fear about that, my grief about that, also my hopes for that. So yeah, I can't tell you. I don't know where all those lyrics came from. They sort of just arrived, I think.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And sometimes you might figure it out later down the line. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, we would love to hear another song. So what have you got for us?
I'm gonna just switch to the guitar. This is a song that I did release on Ghost Story, the most recent album, and it's called Catherine Wheel. Oh, thank you. Just adjusting the mic. Hey, little darling, if you were mine, I wouldn't have any more reason to fight. I wouldn't have any more reason to steal. Wouldn't end up on that Catherine wheel. Wouldn't end up on that Catherine wheel. Hey, little darling, if I were yours, whole damn world will come through those doors. The whole damn world will come to our bed. Take no rest till they had our heads. Take no rest till they had our heads. Hey, little darling, if you were mine, I think it would make the whole world fine. I think it would set the whole world straight. Wouldn't end up on that ship at gate. Wouldn't end up on that ship at gate. Hey, little darling, if I were yours, they all the same reason to go the same course. They all the same reason to sail the same way. Love won't get you another day. Love won't get you another day. Hey, little darling, if you were mine, I think I'd done just one thing right. I think I'd done just one thing good. Loving you the best I could. Loving you the best I could. Hey, little darling, if I were yours, history would run the same course. The story would still have the same old end. So let's keep fighting while we can. Oh, let's keep fighting while we can.
Fern, Maddie on the beautiful acoustic guitar there. Handing it off to Keegan. Any more questions?
So I noticed you were playing that song with a pick that I believe is usually used for a banjo, right? Or is that...
It's like a thumb
It's
pick.
like a thumb pick?
I think it
Yeah.
can be used. It's like, attached to
Okay.
my thumb.
Got
Yeah,
it.
definitely people do use
Yeah.
finger and thumb picks on the banjo to play 3-finger banjo. The way
Got
like
it.
I try to explain it to people, I'm like, it's the banjo style that goes dun 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 dun,
Yeah, yeah.
which is not actually the style of banjo I play. I play more
Okay.
claw hammer banjo, which I'll play a song that's kind of all claw hammer banjo later, and you'll hear that.
Okay.
That's a slightly different style. So, but I have adopted the thumb pick for some of my guitar playing because it's
Yeah.
a little extra.
I haven't seen that before, so
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And I guess it just made me think about how kind of playing multiple instruments, how they cross over with each other and how they influence your techniques and kind of your creativity, if you notice that.
Definitely. Yeah, like I was explaining, the claw hammer banjo style. So, banjo is an African American instrument. It was kind of the ancestors of the banjo were brought over by enslaved peoples, and then it sort of evolved into the instrument we know today in the South through the legacy of slavery. So it has quite a complex history in that way. And claw hammer, which is kind of striking the strings with your nails. And then using your thumb as kind of a little rhythmic bouncing motion. That is very much a traditional Black style of playing the banjo. So I do use that style, and with gratitude and naming where it comes from. And I have also transferred that style. And this isn't something I invented. Lots of people do this. I use that style on the guitar as well, but it does require retuning the guitar because. For that sort of rhythmic strumming pattern to work, you have to have the instrument in an open or close to an open tuning, which the traditional guitar tuning isn't that open tuning. So I'll play a song next that has it's a clawhammer guitar song. I have to retune the guitar, and yeah, you'll see that style that I've used on the guitar. So I definitely like kind of jumping back and forth. Sometimes when I'm writing songs, if I'm like stuck, I'll be like, okay, let's arrange this song on the banjo or the bouzouki or whatever else I have lying around, and see if that, sparks any new connections. So definitely the multi-instrumentalism is something I kind of identify with in my music.
Yeah, super impressive. So in terms of the current project that you're working on and the new songs that you've found that you've been writing, do you feel like you're gravitating toward one instrument? Is it a mix of kind of all, like you're saying?
It's a mix of both. It's interesting because my first record was an EP, and that was very much kind of banjo-led. And then my record, Ghost Story, it was a full-length album, and that was very kind of guitar-led. And now this new album, it's like half and half of like which songs are really sort of, the bass track is the banjo or the guitar, and then I always add other stuff on top of that. But yeah, I like playing. I like doing that in a set. Like something I really foster as a musician is variety in my live set. Like I want my songs to sound different. I want each one to sort of be a new experience. And that's definitely something I've had to kind of practice because, when I first started gigging in that way, you switch to the banjo and then you're super clumsy on the banjo because you haven't been playing that for the set. So yeah, I've been trying to foster that for sure.
Yeah. What are your like aspirations for this new project, and like what is the kind of overlying or underlying concept behind it too?
Sure, yeah. It's a kind of the highest kind of concept project I've done for sure. The last two have kind of been like, oh yeah, this is a collection of songs that is about something, whereas this I'm like, no, like this has a thesis statement. I know what all the songs are saying. So it is also I do also perform traditional songs, so I'm not performing those tonight because the ask was for originals, but most of my repertoire is a combination of traditional ballads that have been kind of reinterpreted by me and then original songs. So trying to find a kind of a collection that says something I want to say, which is it is about sort of like the future and my feelings about the future, and like the feelings that arise when you realize that like we're living in an uncontrollable world and things are out of our control, and how do we kind of cope with that feeling. And so each of the songs is kind of about a different way of sort of coping with that. So there's some songs where the singer is like totally like kind of self-deluding, or like, avoiding the question by going into sort of different emotional states. And then there's some songs that are just kind of about rage or about loneliness or about joy. So I've tried to kind of create a different emotional landscape for each song that's creating this picture.
Very cool.
That's really cool. So when you say kind of your thoughts about the world, do you mean are the songs more lyrically focused on kind of your internal experiences, or kind of like general things that are happening?
Definitely internal. I don't see myself as being a very good like topical songwriter. Like it's very huge part of the folk tradition, which is great to like, talk about the unions or talk about this specific thing where, you're talk about a specific court case or whatever. I love that type of songwriting, but yeah, I definitely kind of try to work a little bit more in a metaphorical realm where you can sort of project what you are feeling onto it, whatever that is. It's not necessarily about a specific... I would say, with the caveat that on Ghost Story, there are definitely a few songs that are, like the one I just sang, which kind of has a historical setting that I've set it in, and, has characters that I've written it about. But yeah, going forward, I would say most of my songs are more personal on the new album, and yeah, kind of about that personal experience of becoming.
Yeah. So when you're playing covers that obviously aren't songs that you've written, how do you feel like you kind of make them your own? I know you said that you sometimes like reinterpret certain things, whether that's in your playing. Can you kind of explain that and expand upon that?
Yeah, it's a fine line because there's lots of debate in the folk world, like as a subculture. Like some people really don't like that sort of meddling approach. There has been a lot of meddling. There has been a lot of people changing songs and then sort of passing that off as like a pure form of the oral tradition, which there's knotty questions about what is the oral tradition. Obviously, it's always evolving. I think it is harmful when, people are taking sources from oral cultures, changing the songs, and then obviously acting like they haven't done that. So I always try to make it clear, like, yeah, this is my addition. I wrote this verse. I changed this sort of. I do a lot of gender changing because I'm gay and I want to write songs that are about queer experiences and sort of project those experiences back in time because, we don't have a lot of songs that are explicitly about gay people in the past, but we know they existed. And so that's one of the ways that I sort of try to massage songs into new shapes without sort of changing the bedrock of the song. But then in the production realm as well, I'll often add like some electronic beats or just sort of fun experimental stuff that shakes it up a little bit.
Gotcha. I love that. Well, we would love to hear your next song and take us through the retuning that you have to do as well.
I will. Only somewhat. So I've been playing this guitar in standard tuning so far, and then I'm going to tune it to an open G minor, which I play in a lot. Just has a really sort of nice smoky sound to it. And I usually, when I'm on stage, try to tell some sort of winsome anecdote while I'm tuning to keep the attention of the audience. I'm drawing a blank right now. I can give a little introduction to the song. It's called Two-Faced. It's actually pretty much mostly produced. I've been recording it with Peg Tassie, who's a local musician and now producer. That's not right. Sorry. So, excited to release it one day when we have the rest of the songs also recorded. Funny how albums work that way. And yeah, I would say this is one of the more personal songs, but hopefully in a way that is easy to identify with anything and everything that may be coming up for you in your life too. Setting tables in the dark, striking sticks to make a spark, cutting cakes made out of stone. I was trying to play the part, funny hunger in the heart, thinking I could wear those bones. But I didn't know the story, I couldn't find my way back home. You were sitting close to me, putting on your pageantry, painted face out in your hand, spinning silk from last year's straw, tried to weave without a flaw, leaving breadcrumbs in the sand. But you didn't know the story, you couldn't drive this boat to lake. last time. Maybe I'll let you be. Oh, maybe I'll let you down for the last time. Maybe I'll let you be. And maybe I'll get it out for the last time. Maybe I'll get free. Oh, maybe I'll get it out. It's past time that I got free. That I got free. That I got free. But I don't know the story. I can't tell you how it ends. So you can have all the glory, even if it slips through your hands. But you don't know the story, and I'm not sure you even care. So I'll take all the worry, there's enough to spare.
Fern, Maddie, remind me of the name of that one again.
Two-faced.
Two-faced. Awesome.
Thank you.
That was great. I want to know more about your recording and production process. If you have any collaborators that you do that with, kind of how that works and your experience with it.
Yeah, so my first two records I co-produced with Colin McCaffrey, who is a very well-known musician in his own right, songwriter and a producer down near where I live in Plainfield. I live in Montpelier. And so that was a really great process. That was sort of kind of the first time I'd been producing music, and Colin was such a sort of mentor to me and helped me learn so much. I did some of the recording for Ghost Story myself at home, so I would go home with a mic he lent me and record some bass tracks and do some of the editing myself. So I was sort of learning those skills and then bring them back into his studio, and he would help me mix them and get them really smooth. And then we would add other instruments, some of which I played, many of which he played. But that was kind of mostly the band, was just the two of us. And so now this next album, I've been working with Peg, who is she's working in Burlington now too, and that was sort of a different experience because we brought a lot of musicians in for Two-Faced. So the recording of Two-Faced probably has I don't even know, 8 or something, crazy amount of musicians on it. That's fun, but it has all of its own challenges in its own way. So going forward, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a mix where I sort of have, my tracks that I do at home and sort of finesse. I definitely I found that recording on my own, recording itself is often part of the songwriting process for me. I find new arrangements when it's on the computer and I can edit it and I can see I wouldn't have even written that little line, but now it's here on the recording. So sometimes I like to front load some of that work myself, so I sort of have the shape of the song in its digital form, before I'm spending time in the studio, which is costly. So it's sort of a mix of many different processes in development always.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering back to what you were saying on having a set structure and sort of a thesis of sorts that you work with to, I guess, make your songwriting process maybe more organized. So I'm wondering, do you find that you write songs specifically to kind of fit that structure or a theme that you already have in mind? Or do you find that you just write songs and then through another type of vetting process, you can figure out which songs go on what project?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have, for the first two projects, I feel like I was okay, I have a collection of songs I'm ready to record. And I didn't necessarily have that vision from the beginning. every time, though, once I start recording, like, one or two more songs, we'll just sort of, like, volunteer and be like, yeah, this we need one more here to, like, round this out. And then I sort of, get a vision. So, like, in retrospect, I can say North Branch River, my first record, is very much about sort of, like, talking about being in relationship with the natural world and sort of, like, different landscapes that have inspired me. And then Ghost Story, my second project, is, like, very much about ghosts, about speaking, like, being in relationship with the dead, like my own personal dead, the kind of, like, historical and cultural dead, like those sorts of inherited stories, which is what folk music is, right there. We're getting those from dead people. And so, yeah, so now I would say this is the first time I've been like, I'm really trying to be intentional about this. And they're like, in this next project, there was a song where I was like, like, there's something missing. Like, I need, like, there's some sort of, like, emotional experience that isn't represented here. And then that sort of directed me towards the type of song I wanted to write. But generally, it's the other way around. The songs come first, and the sort of structure comes later.
Gotcha. Very cool, the evolution of that it's kind of, the process has changed throughout the different projects.
So I'm wondering kind of what you have upcoming, what we should be looking out for in terms of releases, shows, anything.
That's a great question. I don't have anything. I was thinking about that for you. Like, nothing to promote right now. That's great.
No
Just
worries.
when I'm going on the radio. Yeah, I don't have any shows upcoming right now. I'm kind of trying to focus the winter on recording. So, but that's also not something that's imminently being released. Probably maybe this time next year we'll be releasing an album. But
Nice.
maybe sooner. I don't know. We'll have to see. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and those sorts of places to see what's new on my radar.
No rush with these things,
Yeah.
Well, we are coming sort of to the end of the show, and you've kind of already begun to do it, but if you do have any other platforms that would be helpful to share with listeners about how to support you and how to promote your music.
Yeah, I'm Fern Maddie. That's Fern like the plant, Maddie, and that's sort of like my name everywhere. So I have a YouTube channel where I post some live performance videos, some videos, like Two Face. There's a video of that up there. So if you want to hear that song again, even though it's not out in the world yet. And I'm also on Bandcamp, which is a great way to support artists, either by buying the digital tracks or the merch. Even if you use Spotify, which I also do. So you can find me on all those places.
Everyone give Fern Maddie a follow on all those platforms. And what is the fourth song that you have for us tonight?
Yeah, I'm just going to grab the banjo. So this is a bit of a throwback to my first record, North Branch River, which I mentioned before. And this is the title track. It's North Branch River, which is a river. It's sort of, I live in Montpelier now, which is the Winooski River, but the North Branch goes into the Winooski River from the north. And it's where I was living. I was living right on a tributary of the North Branch River when I wrote this song. And it's sort of kind of taken on a bit of a new meaning now because local Vermonters will know that we had catastrophic flooding this summer, and Montpelier was flooded by the North Branch River and the Winooski River, where I live. We're still recovering from. So, yeah, this song is about that river.
Maybe it's floating down to the sea. Maybe they've grown like a wild mountain forest. Maybe they've grown like the wild trees. Maybe they float like North Branch River. Maybe they float down to the sea.
Fern, Maddie, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It was a pleasure having you.
Having me.
And
lovely production you've got here.
yes, please let us know whenever, your next projects are out and come back on and play for us again.
I love that.
But as for now, this has been Rocket Shop Radio Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Abby BK.
And I'm Keegan Lafferty.
And we will be back in January with some new guests on Rocket Shop, so stay tuned. And we wish you all a very happy new year. Have a great night, and thanks so much. Woo! Yes, Keegan.